Hey, what's good, people? Yes, I come to talk about Leon Bailey's comments about the JFF, the Jamaica Football Federation. Yeah, he just did an interview, right? With what's the name of that vlogger, J Frey or whatever his name is? I can't remember. Sorry if I mispronounce it wrong, right? But he had a lot to say. But I'm not gonna go too deep in it. But I'm just gonna give you my points of what I gather from the interview, right? What I gather from the interview is coming from a place of frustration with Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey said Jamaica cannot offer him anything. Financially, yes, because he plays for a big international club in Europe. You get it? So when you're at that level, playing at that level, like your home country, that it goes without saying, right? Now, but the thing about it is, right, he also comes from a place of resentment because of the suspension that was imposed on him before, for breaking curfew, essentially. But the thing about Leon Bailey is he comes from an arrogant place as well to say he's bigger than the club. He's bigger than the football team itself. He's not no player, no matter how big you are or how big you become, would ever be bigger than the national team. I mean, later on down the line, if you have legendary status, then you can make the argument. But for now, you cannot make that argument. I mean, yes, you were a prodigy at that particular age, and they give you a fight. I agree with some of his point. I'm not going to say I don't agree with some of his point because the facilities of that particular island cannot match overseas facilities. He says he only asks for two things, right? He just want them to pay for his flight and have, what do you say? Yeah, his separate room. He just wants his own room by himself. Now, when you said you just want them to pay for your flight, what does that impose on the other players? That's special treatment. You cannot ask for your own special room for yourself. It doesn't work that way. How do you think the other players will feel, and how would they allocate that particular funds for you, one player alone, to get his own room? Yes, he does make the argument that they're not paying him. He's not there for the money. But you're not that exceptional talent that they required you to win every single match. That's why they have to give you a separate room. Yes, they cannot pay. Half of the squad doesn't get paid. The same thing with the reggae girls. Sidela Mali left because some of the funds weren't allocated and some funds went missing and all of these things. But you know what it is I agree with him as well. There's a lot of corruption and politics in the JFF. You cannot blame him for that, and no one will say he's wrong. You understand? So, but at the same time, I'm like, you're not bigger than the club itself. You're right. I agree with some of his points. He doesn't have to play for Jamaica, but at the same time, it's your national honor as a footballer to represent your team. And he says the pitch is not smooth enough, and like, come on, that's rubbish. A pitch, if you're a footballer, pitches. I mean, you can make the argument of your player, bro. The pitch is more better on that high quality pitch, but come on, you're playing on a regular third world pitch. You're supposed to have the necessary skill to, you know what I mean? Yes, like the way you dribble, and it might be a bit different. Yes, we totally understand that. But if you're a composite player, you can execute your dynamical skills regardless of the pitch that you're playing on. If you got skill, you got skill. If you don't, you don't. Don't blame the pitch to say, okay, well, this ball roll, because this says Jeffrey asked him, the way you play in Europe is different when you play for the local team, which is the pitch, this and that. Listen, you're playing all around. So when you're playing for the local team, yes, you don't play in and out all together, so the chemistry might not be there. But that's still not an excuse. But at the same time, this is where the JFF comes in as fault. You cannot be trying to qualify for certain stages in football and Ccorrect Cup, and the teams are not playing together. You need 2-3 days, at least a month, to practice together, to get that chemistry, to get that feel of each other playing and chemistry to work together. You can't, like Liam Billy says, sometimes it's an hour before they actually start practicing. Sorry, they practice for an hour. Sorry, my apologies. They practice for an hour before they actually, like, You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. You can't really practice for an hour to be prepared for a character cup match or international match against another country. Like, I don't understand how JFF work with that. And the facilities, and yes, there's a lot of politics inside of it, but you're not above the team. So his comments was coming from a place of frustration to say like some of the players doesn't even get paid properly, which is true. We all know this. Like some of the players, the funds are not allocated to a lot of players, but they still play because it's well, national pride, because so they don't have to play. Some of these players play abroad in America and Europe, like second division teams or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, it's not really the way he's making it seem as in like he's doing them a favor by he's being them do it. He's exposing you're not exposing anything. You're not exposing the reggae boys to anything. Like because you play there, you're not a superstar. He said when he goes anywhere outside, people knows you are like they will know who you are, but they're not rushing to grab you to gravitate towards you to get an autograph like a Messi or one of these stuff. Like come on, like I mean, I live in Europe. I know I've seen these things all the time. You cannot tell me like I mean, no, I'm not bashing you or anything like that, but I'm just saying you're not this amazing wonder kid. Like wow, like ooh, he's the next Pele or he's the next top five level Ronaldo or something like that. No, you're average at best. That's what I'm saying. So is Aston Villa is not in the Premier League. Aston Villa is not really they're there, but they're not like the Man U, the Arsenal, the Tottenham, the Chelsea, the Liverpool. What else? You know what I mean? You're not the top grade. Is what I'm saying. Even Newcastle right now they got new owners. You know what I'm saying? So like you're not Aston Villa is not primarily one of the best teams in the Premier League, to be honest with you. Chelsea is like there, Arsenal, Man U. So the way you're coming from is like I'm doing these guys a favor. You're not doing anyone a favor, mate. You understand? I mean, but I get your point. JFF is full of corruption. Like when he was starting out, the amount of fight that he got. Yes, that's true. You do get a fight. You know what I mean? But he also admitted like the politics helped put him in that team, and he only played for the team once as a prodigy within the football realm, which is true. And there's a lot of politics that's not needed. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm getting from is, oh, you shouldn't suspend me. You can't suspend me. Yeah, but you can't suspend me. And he's saying like most of these players are not on his some of them are not on his level, which is I mean he yeah he probably is right with that. Not everyone is on his level in that team, one and two guys and that, but internationally known, the pace, the commitment, the training, most of them don't have that particular the highest level of training what he composed of, because none of them were trained abroad. When you train in Europe as a footballer, you get the highest and highest of training. He would never miss a curfew in Europe, but he missed one for the national team. You get the highest and highest of training in Europe, which is true. So I'm saying, and he says sometimes financially he has to make sure some of these players get their money, and sometimes he pulls from his pocket. So I could understand that point. You have to make sure the man and them eat, make sure you know what I mean? Which I agree with that. Like, I commend him for that. Sometimes staff members are not getting their allocated funds. He has to pay them. I mean, rightfully so. If you're saying you're on that level, you're supposed to, you know what I mean, make sure ones on one have a little package change and things like these. Which I commend him. I commend him for that. I actually applaud him for that. Like, yeah, make sure some players, if they ain't got proper facilities, you buy, you help the staff. You know what I mean? Because you have the financial means to do so. And I think that's where it is. Because you have the financial means to make certain people show up on time, contribute to X, Y, Z. That's why you probably get that, oh, they shouldn't suspend me. I mean, you can make that argument, but at the same time, what about the captain? You cannot ask for like a separate room for yourself. You know what I'm saying? That will make the other players look kind of like, hold on, I'm there just the same. Doesn't mean because you're playing here you could get a room for yourself. So what about me? What about the captain? You know what I mean? So what about the guys over there that's putting in the extra effort? So his comments, I mean, his opinion at the same time, and you can't fault him for that. You cannot fault him for saying what he said. I have some judgmental query on certain things he's saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong in his objective of displaying what he thinks is unfair treatment and how the politics work, and a baller supposed to get the chance to play. It doesn't matter if your background or who you link with or XYZ. If you can play, play. You know what I mean? But everything has a link. Not just what we're talking about, Jim. Yeah, but not everything has the specification and the rules and the guidelines and the procedures. Not every club like follow those tremendously. Like he himself was signed illegally to a foreign. Is what I'm saying. So you go back to that same argument. You yourself were signed illegally at a young age, and they even talk about it was an illegal signing that you signed at a tender age. So there's politics abroad and there's politics abroad. So you choose the bad with the good. Is what I'm saying. So yeah. But shout out to Liam Bailey though. He says he's giving the team a break now. I think it's not necessarily a suspension, to be honest with you. Why he's saying he's giving it a break. I think it's that's part of it, but at the same time I think it's the frustration of the requirements. And he said sometime when I'm coming, they're sending my plane ticket 11 o'clock at night and I have to wake up early in the morning, an economic flight to go 3 stops just to come direct. They're not giving me a direct flight. They're giving me 3 stopover flight to actually get there. So sometimes it's the frustration. He has to pay for his own ticket sometimes, which is, the funding is the biggest problem with the JFF. The funding and JFF is the biggest problem. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you can't expect a small island like that to facilitate everything, but certain requirements should be met, and I agree with him on that particular point. Some basic requirements, some of the uniform on them is not properly. He said one guy has to come and the uniform is outworn, and they're not making sure the players have like the basic necessities, which is true. The reggae girls as well, Sidela Marley, she have to left because she said like, this is just ridiculous now. They're allocating funds to XYZ and they're not like, and the girls out there are playing their hardest. Some of them like she has to pay. Sidela Marley said like she has to make sure her the visa requirements are all good for them to go abroad. Some of them had problems, this and that. The country itself is, when it comes on to JFF, it's just full of external and internal politics. And he's shining a good light on it. No matter how I may feel about certain comments that he may made, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and he's speaking from a place of resentment to certain aspects that we may not know necessarily what is taking place behind the curtains. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want him to leave the team in general. I don't even want him to take a break. But so I'm saying, I think they could come to an understanding, Leon Bailey. I think they can actually come to an understanding. That's the way I see it. But shout out to Liam Bailey anyways. Good baller. He should come back to the team and support the thing as well, you know what I mean? Yeah, but there's a lot of politics inside of it. What are you gonna do? Run and cry? But he was just expressing his frustration. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But you can't blame him for like I'm Liam Bailey, like most of the players are not on my level and the training that I have. And he said he has to contribute and help them and show Like at the same time, you're as what you say, you're Liam Bailey. That's part of your responsibility as well. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, shout out to Liam Bailey. Shout out to the JFF. And don't forget about the corruption. But I think they could qualify for the World Cup though. Like, to be honest with you, if they keep a steady mind frame and do things professionally and honorable and be more composite, I think they can take the training a bit more direct, and I think they will qualify. I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I'm hoping for the best. What I'm saying. But yeah, that was my little check the reason. All right, one love.